Welcome to Retrained Search, the podcast, where we lift the lid on what it's really like to work retained, discuss the stories we've gathered along the way, and give you all a peek behind the scenes of our amazing community and how they're getting ahead. Hello everyone, welcome to the Retrained Search show. We're not on again today. Morning, Gemma. Afternoon.
No, it's morning.
Yeah, it's morning. It's morning with you. All right. Cool. We're just admiring Jordan's fresh new look, aren't we?
It's all right. My lights just started flashing. There we go. I think it's staying on now. Yeah. So I've been going to this new barber's opposite Gia's new nursery. And the first time I went was interesting. The haircut was okay, but he gave me like my beard. He did like a bike strap instead of like, I look like a 2002 Craig David is the way I'd describe it.
Nice.
So that wasn't great. And then the second time I went, the beard was okay, but the haircut was pretty bad.
Yeah.
And then, so it's the same as hair in normal talk. And then the third time I went, I got a good haircut and a good beard. And it was the guy that I think that owns it. But I was saying every time I go, it's like different people in there. And they're all of foreign descent, right? And it was funny because last time I went in, I saw the owner was in again. So I was like, this was last week. I was like, I'm going to get in, get my hair cut now while the good guy's there. And the guy that was in the chair next to me, it's like they're given like a list of standard questions to ask people because English isn't great. So it's like, are you working today? Do you have family? It's like just every barber asks the same questions. This guy says back to this guy who I've never seen before. He says, how long have you been here? And he means like the shop. Like, how long has the shop been here? And the guy says, 3 days. So the guy says, the shop's been here 3 days. He's like, no, me. And he's like, oh, you've only worked here 3 days. And he's like, no, I've only been in the UK for 3 days. It's like, seems like every person has to go through Liverpool Road Penketh Barbershop in Warrington.
Yeah.
So.
Didn't that guy like stop a stabbing outside that shop? Didn't he go out with his barber's cape on and like save someone?
Did he?
He did. Did you see it in the news?
No.
Yeah, he went out of like, it was Penketh or Great Sankey Barber, and he was like an off-duty police officer, and he basically saved, he almost died himself in the process, but he saved a guy from being stabbed with his barber's cape on. Have a look.
There you go. I'm going to Google it. There you go.
Yeah. So you can be the next hero, George.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
That's your kind of,
like headline would be man with bike strap beard saves stabbing or something like that.
Yeah, it was a nice play on words because he was wearing a cape, but he was wearing a barber's cape. Yeah, it was nice.
Hero.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, hero in a barber's cape. Anyway, welcome, Gem. Thanks for joining us. You know our antics by now. We've been working together, known each other long enough for you not to mind me and George messing about.
No, not at all.
I am delighted to introduce you all to Gemma, who we know well and you guys don't. And we'd love Gemma to share her story because it's very inspiring and also very interesting. And it continues because we're still in next chapter and then next chapter. So will you be kind enough to introduce yourself, Gemma, to our lovely audience and tell us and them a little bit about you and your business?
Absolutely. So I'm Gemma Beasley. I run my own business called Hudson Cooper Search. It's just me and my VA, so boutique. I'm based in the US between New York City and the Carolinas. I spend time in both, and I'm focused in construction management. So I work with construction companies, real estate developers, owners rep firms. Yeah, and like you said, it's a journey, it's a process. I've been working with you guys since the start of 2022, I think.
And what was going on for you then? What were you doing and not doing, and what was going on when we met?
Yeah, so I had just left Hayes. I'd been with Hayes for well, since 2011 altogether. First 3.5 years in London, and then transferred over here with them in 2014. So I'd literally just left and was getting everything set up. And I think I'd been following you on LinkedIn for a while, listened to some of the webinars, and loved everything you were saying. So yeah, I knew when I left I was going to get more involved and do the course. And
were you working, what kind of work were you doing at Hayes? Where had you got to with that?
So it was contingent for the most part, all permanent. Although I started off on a temp desk, but I've been doing the same type of positions that I do now, but 90% on a contingent basis, which was fine. I was successful at it, and it worked. And I just knew when I went out on my own, I had to do something different. I had to be better. Well, I knew I just had to up my game. I had to be as good as I could possibly be, because you can't afford not to be.
Yeah.
When you're running your own business, it's, you've got to be able to win the right type of work. You've got to be able to deliver on it. You've got to work with the right type of clients. You just can't afford, I just couldn't do the same thing in the same way that I was doing before, because I'm not getting paid a base salary anymore, right? I'm responsible for everything. So yeah, I just knew I had to be better and keep getting better.
And so what was it about Retrained that you wanted?
So aside from obviously having forecastable revenue and predictable income, which is obviously a big part of it, I wanted to deepen the relationships that I already had with clients, and have more, and just work in a better way with new clients as well. So having that confidence to know when a retained solution is right was a big thing for me. Knowing that you can deliver it, knowing how to deliver it in the right way. So just to strengthen those relationships, to provide a better service. That was the main driver, really, aside from the revenue point of view.
I always think the mindset's interesting when you're starting a new business, because
Yeah,
I speak to some people that are going out on their own and they say, well, I'm going to start working contingently, right, to get some quick fees in. I'm thinking, so you're going to take 2 or 3 weeks to get a job on, and then you're going to go away and work it for like 4 to 6 weeks, and you might fill it, you might not. But even if you do fill it, then you're going to have to wait for, let's say, a month notice period. It depends where in the world you are. And then, let's say they've got 30-day payment terms. You're probably not going to see any money for like 4 months.
Well, it's really hard, because you need the revenue, right? Especially when you're just getting started. Like, having to walk away from stuff is really difficult. It's difficult for me now. But and like you said, it's the mindset. That's the bit that you've got to change. And working with you guys helped me, and is helping me do that. And it doesn't happen overnight. It's difficult, but
what was it like then? Because it's been let's say, where are you up to kind of now with it? How do you work with your clients now? We're a few years down the line.
Yeah, so I'm not 100% retained. And the reason for that is, and again, it's I've got the understanding and the confidence now to know when it's the right solution to offer. And the reality is it's just not the right solution in everything that I do. So that's fine. I'm okay with that. But now I know when it is and when it isn't, and when it's appropriate. So yeah, probably around the 50% mark. I've also, thanks to you guys, now got an understanding of adding value in other ways. So comp and bend studies, and talent mapping and insights. I was doing a little bit of that before, but on a corporate level. So that's been a whole eye opener. So that's another way that I can add value to clients that I wasn't doing before. And I love that type of work as well. So that's been really good. Yeah, so it will probably stay the same, I think. Maybe. I don't know. I'll have to see, but that's kind of where I am at the moment.
And what for you, like in that journey of going from, you know, not doing any work on a retained basis to now half the work that you do being retained, what have been some of the kind of turning, you know, key moments or turning points for you? Are there any moments in there that of realization or significant change that you can share with us?
Yeah, it's just so much more enjoyable for everybody, you know, not just me, but for the client and the candidates. I think they just have a much better experience too, you know, because you've got more control over the process, because the client is, you know, committed, because you have all of the information that you need right at the beginning, and you've got a process and you've got a timeline, and everybody knows what you're going to be doing, when you're going to be doing it, the candidates included. When you can say that all up front, it's just more enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's just, it's less stressful.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it.
Because the other kind of fundamental change you've made, I mean, okay, in a larger period of time, but you've moved from a UK market to a US market.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about that for you? How was that journey for you? Was it as you expected?
No. I don't think I really knew what to expect. You know, because I'd come from, you know, 3.5 years doing temp with local, you know, London councils, which was great. I loved it. And I'd done a little bit of perm. And actually the perm that I did do was retained, actually. And then coming from a big corporate environment with Hayes in London to then moving to the US was completely different. You know, there was only 3 or 4 of us doing CMP. It was really new. No one knew who we were. You know, we didn't have a brand. No one knew the Hayes name at all. So we had to really, really focus on business development, which I really struggled with the first 6 months. Like, I had a real crisis of confidence and thought, I don't know what I'm doing, because I really hadn't done proper BD. I thought I had, but I hadn't. And then after sort of 6 months, you know, with a lot of support and help, it just kind of clicked and went from there. So I think, I mean, I don't know, I haven't worked in the UK for all that time, but it's much more relationship driven here than in the UK, in my experience, and from what other people tell me. You know, it seems to be a lot more transactional back in the UK. But so you've got to have good BD skills. You've got to be able to build and develop relationships. And if you do, they last for a long time. You know, I'm working with clients that I've known for nearly 10 years now, so that's great. But yeah, I didn't know what to expect, but I've loved it. I've loved every minute of it.
Would you go back and work in the UK market now?
Absolutely not. No, no interest. No interest. I mean, I don't know the market. I haven't been in it. So, but no, I don't think
It hasn't
so.
changed much. It's only got harder.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I hear, but.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of people I talk to, British recruiters, who hear of people moving to the US or simply working the US market from the UK and think that it's not, you know, it's so new and it's not possible and it's going to be super different, or they're not going to be, you know, warmed to. Or what advice would you give them, or what's been your experience of being a Brit in an American market?
Yeah. I mean, I think first of all, in New York, at least, you know, no one cares if you've got a British accent. They really don't. You know, it's a big multicultural city. So that, I think some people think that's going to help. It doesn't. People don't care. because it's relationship driven, I think you have to kind of go above and beyond. I think, you know, and I've seen over the last few years and what clients and candidates tell me that they're getting bombarded with resumes and phone calls from people outside the US. And it's really obvious when people don't have an understanding of the market, even from a geographical point of view, you know, calling people about a job that's 100 miles away, or not knowing how long it takes to get from point A to point B. You know, things like that will knock you back really quickly. So I think you've got to be prepared to spend time here, personally. It can happen. You've got to really, really try and understand this market, and it might take longer to build those relationships, but once you've got them, it's great. You know, people will stick with you.
Yeah, it's not like it used to be, I don't think, is it, where it was a lot easier. I felt you could I don't know whether it was less saturated or there was less British recruiters trying to muscle in on the action, and now
Definitely.
yeah, there's loads.
Yeah. Well, you know, and since COVID, obviously that's changed a lot of things. You know, there's a lot more. I think that's happened anyway. You know, and with AI and automation and everything else, you know, candidates are getting bombarded more and more. So I mean, I'm hearing that all the time.
Yeah.
And even to the point where I never felt like I had to say this, but now I'm really conscious of reminding people or telling people, no, I am actually here. Like, don't let the accent fool you. Because people ask now, so they're like, "Oh, are you here or are you in the UK?" Yeah. It's kind of like, if you're not here, I'm not interested. You know, those conversations are happening more.
All UK agencies are seeing high fees, high salaries, and no notice periods, and thinking, "I'll have a bit of that."
Yeah, they think the streets are paved with gold. And obviously there's upsides and benefits to that, but that doesn't. The same, you know, spray and pray approach that might work in a transactional market like the UK, you might get some quick wins here, and you probably did over the last few years when the market was really good. But that's not a long-term solution. If you're serious about building a reputation and a brand in the US, that's not going to work. I don't think.
Yeah. And actually, if you look at some of our customers, you look at a lot of the bigger recruitment firms that have made a success of it in the US, they've got offices now in Houston and New York. Like, they've got people on the ground.
Yeah.
And how do you think, because it's always interesting, I think, at the speed at which different regions or countries adopt tactics or methodologies, and, you know, how does the US market feel for you in terms of their receptiveness to look for a partnership approach, a retained approach? How well does that go down?
Yeah, going back to what we've just been talking about, that I think that's actually helping. You know, because I think clients are getting pissed off with, and I know they are, you know, having to deal with endless numbers of recruiters bombarding them with stuff, giving them a subpar experience.
On this podcast, John.
Say that again.
Allowed to swear on this podcast.
Okay, I'm sure I will by the end of it. Yeah, you know, I think they're getting fed up with it, but they're telling me that they are. So it's actually, when you are then putting in front of them a solution that is more partnership driven and, you know, takes away all of that noise and takes that time, you know, gives that time back to them, they are more receptive to it. You know, I talked to a client the other day who said at the moment, because he's hiring for multiple roles, 50% of his time is spent dealing with all these recruiters that are sending him stuff.
Wow.
50%.
That's horrific, isn't it?
Yeah.
Awful. Yeah.
You know, so, and that's why we're having a conversation about taking that off of his, you know, his agenda, and just working with me. And it's a partnership, and he just, you know, he just works with me. So it's actually helping.
Good.
It's actually
That's
helping.
great. Yeah, that's good. So
Yeah,
carry on with your spray and pray, because it's helping us win
keep doing
retain.
it. Exactly.
Basically.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, cool. And tell us a bit, you know, you've talked about a situation there where you've been able to solve, or will be able to solve, a problem with a retained solution. Can you tell us about other instances where that has happened for you over the last few years?
Yeah. So there's an example that I'm working through at the moment, actually, which is a role that's been open for a while, couple of years really, and you know, they've had some interviews. They've kind of churned through a bit of a talent pool already, not convinced it's the right fit. Keep going, keep going. It might be that they've already met someone who could have been the right fit, but whatever's been happening so far just isn't. It's just not working. And we've had a conversation about, right, let's put a proper search process in place. Let's map out the market. Let's really drill down into what it is that you're looking for, what you're willing to flex on. There's a little bit of a limited understanding, I think, maybe of the market. So I think that's going to be helpful for them. So hopefully that's going to start soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a few cases of that where the contingent model just hasn't worked, and we're just churning through people over and over again, or having to replace people multiple times. That's come up a few times recently. And again, it's clients who are spending way more time than they should dealing with multiple different recruiters, and just not getting the level of quality, basically.
Me and Lou talk about that a lot. Sometimes at the end of a search, it isn't that you actually find somebody that you hadn't found previously. Sometimes it's the insight, the transparency of the search, their understanding of the market means they feel comfortable hiring somebody that there's no way they would have hired on a contingent basis.
Yeah. And you know, the information that you can gather and then present around salary expectations or benefits and bonuses and motivations, you know, that which you just don't necessarily get that from contingent searches. Well, we know you don't. That information is so helpful to clients too. And so my understanding of being able to collect that and then presenting it in a meaningful way now is really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did a piece on helping your industry to understand what was going on from a compensation perspective. Can you tell us a little bit about that? That's so new for a lot of the people, I'm sure. Well, as it was for me and for you, you know, before we learnt it. But tell us a little bit about how that's helpful.
Yeah, so not so much last year, because that was a little bit challenging, but the sort of 3 years post COVID in New York is, you know, I'll just talk about New York for now, but there was just a feeding frenzy, for want of a better analogy. It was so fierce, the competition for talent. There's crazy salaries being thrown out and offers being made, you know, way above what they were before. So I'd done some research with some clients on how they'd approached that, what they'd done internally, if they'd had to up salaries across the board, if they'd had to pay sign-on bonuses, anything that they'd had to do to handle those challenges, and then put it into a report and then presented it back to those clients, and then other clients, you know, offered that information to them. And it went down really, really well. You know, it was really helpful to everyone who took part in it. And I learned stuff, you know, that I didn't know that some of my clients were doing. I didn't know they were doing it. You know, because I'd asked those questions, and that type of research I just have got more confidence now in going out and doing it, you know, and taking different ideas from other people that I've met through Retrained and what they've been doing and what's worked for them, you know, and how I can now put that, you know, into my perspective and what's going to work in my market. So yeah, I'm planning, I'm just thinking about the next one that I'm going to do. I need to do that in Q2.
What are you
I've got a few ideas. I'm not sure yet. I've got a few ideas. I'll probably bend your ear about that at some point. Yeah, can't do it in Q1. It's gonna have to be Q2. So, but yeah, and I love doing that type of work too. So
yeah, it's nice. It's like a paid BD or even just a more interesting business development exercise, because just gathering the data in itself is like joy to just reach out to people and ask some nice questions instead of trying to, you know, get business. But it has the same effect.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's, you know, it's you're helping them and they're helping you, and it's great.
And what in the sort of journey then that you've been on of it all, really, of the, you know, the move into the American market and this shift to Retained, are there things that you wish you'd known earlier on in the journey that you know now?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so, because I wouldn't change any of it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I've loved my time with Hayes. I've loved my 10 years here. I've loved the path so far.
Yeah.
So I don't think I would change it. I'm glad I did your course at the start of my journey, running my own business. Definitely, that was the right thing to do. You know, and it hasn't just been about doing the course. You know, I've learned so much from the community on how to run a business.
Yeah.
That, you know, that's been absolute, you know, worth its weight in gold. And I didn't need to know any of that before. So I've learned it at the right time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, perfect. And what's next for you then? What's next for you and Hudson Cooper Search?
More of the same, really. I'm not planning on hiring loads of people and then, you know, scaling and exiting. That's not what I'm about. You know, I want it to be small and boutique, and I just want to do a really good job. I want to keep getting better. And just build a life that works for me, really. You know, I'm not trying to take over the world. I just want to be happy with what I'm doing and do a good job and keep going.
Go on nice holidays, have nice things.
Yes.
And enjoy
I need
life.
to stop going on holiday, to be fair.
No, you don't need to stop going
I do.
The question I've got is, do you class the mastermind events like next month in LA? Is that holiday or is that work?
So I turn it into a holiday. It's work. But I mean, me and a couple of the guys are going, Tara and Corey are going to Palm Springs after for 3 days. So it is a holiday.
Yeah, that will be nice.
Yeah, I'm going skiing in Norway this weekend.
Amazing.
Yeah.
This
isn't going to go out in the next 24 hours, is it?
No.
No.
Okay, good. Yeah, because half my family don't know I'm going.
Don't know that.
It's a surprise.
Nice. There's good skiing near New York as well, isn't there? The first time I ever was in Vermont in Stowe, which I think is not too far from New York.
Yeah, I'm more of an après ski kind of girl.
Yeah, you mean
skier, but
I'll be the first one of the day and then go, I'll sit in this bar and drink all day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'd love to do that, but it's just me and Harry, and I need to stay with Harry, so he makes me ski like all day, which is great because it means I burn loads of calories and then I can eat loads of nice food and eat and drink loads. So it's good, and it's good for my fitness and stuff, but God, it's exhausting. I came back, I could hardly move. I was so broken. And we're going to Canada. We're going to Banff in about 2 months.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. But we've got our trip to Miami and LA in a few weeks' time, and we'll see you there. So tell us before you
Yeah.
go, tell us a little bit about why do you go to these things? Why do you come to the mastermind events? What does it do for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, we have collab calls and one-on-ones, and that's great. And the actual, the school portal, everyone is so generous and open and helpful. I can't believe how helpful everyone is sometimes, but that's great. But when you're actually in a room with everybody, it's just amplified times 50. It's just great that I walk out of each event with notebooks full of notes and inspirations and things I'm going to go and try and implement. It just lifts you up, right? It makes you think about things, and it's just really inspiring. You meet people that are at different stages in their career, that might be running huge teams or huge companies, that might have bought and exited businesses and now are setting up. There's such a variety of people, and there's always something to learn and always something you can share with. It's just great. It's just I love them. I love them so much. Like, it's just, yeah. So I missed the last one in London, but I'm looking forward to LA, definitely.
Yeah, so we. And where can people connect with you if they want to find out a bit more about you, what you're doing, people that might want to work with you or might need your help? How can they connect with you?
LinkedIn's probably the easiest, or my email, Gemma@HudsonCooperSearch.com.
Amazing. Thank you, Gemma.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your story and your journey with us. I wanted to kind of point out to those of you that are listening how different sometimes it is when you feel you don't want to grow or scale or build a business. And I think it's easy to feel like that's what you should be doing, because you look around and so many people are doing that. And yeah, I mean, you say yes, Gemma, to that. Like, did you feel that, or?
No, no, because that wasn't my plan, but I have felt like that at times, definitely. Definitely, but I'm okay with where I am and where it will be, and that's why I think if you are going out on your own or you're thinking about it, you've got to have a community. You've got to find a tribe of people. You've got to talk to other business owners, talk to people who have done what you're doing or have thought about it. You have to have that, because the way that you'll have all these doubts, right? You're going to have times when you think, I can't do this. What the fuck have I done? I should be getting bigger. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. And having that support group around you, talking to other people that have been down that path before or have got different ideas, it's just so helpful. Like, you can't underestimate the importance of that. And that's, for me, aside from everything that I've learned from you guys, is that community has just been so helpful with realizing where you are and where you want to get to, and knowing that that's all right. It's all right that you don't want to be a company. It's all right that you don't want to, hire 50 people. I'm fine with that. That's a different journey for somebody else, but yeah.
And one of the things I love and wanted to bring you on to share was that exactly, because there's people that have come into the mastermind group that, like Nick and Charlotte and who else am I thinking of that doesn't want Kelly, that came in thinking, I feel like I probably should grow, but I can see in them that they don't really want to, but they kind of want to make sure that it's okay that they don't, and that actually just creating a life that that works for them and that they want to live is enough, like more than enough. And actually, in many cases, those of you that are doing that are getting to that stage much quicker than those that are trying to grow and scale and build a life that they want for themselves eventually through some sort of exit. And there's quite a few of you now that are getting like really getting comfortable, and you're such a great role model for that, and being okay with focusing on building a life that you want and not taking on the pressure of growth or scaling or creating EBITDA and all that another half of the group is. It's wonderful. I love it.
But that's it. I think the biggest barrier, if you are, going to go out on your own and set up a company, the biggest barrier is your own self-doubt. It's how you talk to yourself and, what you think you can and can't achieve. You can do whatever you want, but you get in your, I do that, you get in your own way sometimes. So surrounding yourself with people who are having exactly the same thoughts and questions is so helpful. It really, really is. So,
and it's not until, someone said to me the other day, it was Ross Sanderson. He said he was chatting to someone who has now joined the mastermind, but was thinking about joining it. And for those of you thinking about it, it's helpful to be put in touch with people that are in it to go, well, this is what it's really like, and this is what you're likely to get from it. Anyway, I'd done that, and he said just chatting to that person, explaining what it had done for him, had made him realise how far he'd come in his journey. It was almost like therapy for him, just to actually be explaining, yes, this is where I was, and this is how I felt, and this is what I was doing, and now I'm here, and God, haven't I done really well? And aren't I actually, proud of what I've achieved? And as people come in and you listen to their questions and you listen and you think, oh, actually, I know that now. I can answer that, because it kind of helps. It's a bit like mentoring. I was surprised by how fulfilling mentoring is. You go into it thinking, oh, I'm going to give this person and give, and they're going to get loads. And actually, weirdly, you get more from it than you ever give. Yeah. And it's so hard to describe that unless you actually do it. But it's like that, isn't it? You also get from giving.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's, no one in that group, no one's got an ego. No one, doesn't want to help anybody or feels that they shouldn't be sharing. It's you've created that, and it's wonderful. And it's just, I don't know what I would do without it, actually. I think my business would look very different. So thank you.
For what it's worth, I can't help Lou with tennis anymore, because if I keep helping her, she's going to be better than me soon.
Bloody hell, I'm never going to have the wingspan of an albatross, am I? So I'm never going to be as good as you. I'm never going to be able to touch both of the outside lines of the tennis court without fucking moving.
Oh, I can't play tennis.
Or be able to get every single lob, because if Jordan can't get it, it's going out, let's face it. No, you're super good at tennis. I'm never going to be as good as you, but it's very fun trying.
Are you playing tennis in LA then? That's the plan, is it?
Yes.
Gemma, you honestly, I've done something very silly, Gemma.
What have you done?
I'm spending a few days in Miami, right? And I signed up a customer to Search Foundations last year called Jonathan. He's in Miami. I remember at the time he told me he met his business partner playing tennis. And I said, I play a lot of tennis. And we talked about tennis. And I thought, challenge into a game of tennis while I'm in Miami. And he accepted the challenge very quickly. No, to the point I thought, that worries me. So I Googled him. And he's like, I think he's some like all-American college tennis player.
Oh, no.
So I've very quickly I've got a better idea. Why don't you get a couple of friends and me and you will play doubles against your friends?
Yeah, right. Nicely done.
We'll see.
Yeah, it sounds fun. Yeah, we're going to play tennis and you're going to go for a bar crawl with Sarah instead.
Yeah.
I think there's several that have opted for the gin and tonics instead of the tennis.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait.
It'll be a lot of fun. Okay, cool. I mean, anybody that's looking to find out a bit more about Gemma's journey or would like some help with whatever you might have thought was interesting on listening today, then please feel free to reach out. I think that's okay with you, Gem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I'll see you before, but we'll see you in Los Angeles.
Woohoo!
Thank
See you
you.
then. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Gem.
Bye.
Well, that's another episode of Retrained Search, the podcast in the bag. Thanks for listening to our wild tales, LinkedIn controversies, and our top tips on how to sell and deliver retained search. Get involved in our next episode. Send in your questions and share your experiences with us by emailing podcast@retrainedsearch.com. And don't be shy. Connect with us on LinkedIn and come and say hi. We don't bite. Unless you're a Shrek firm, that is. We want to say a special thank you to our Retrained members for sharing what's working for them right now and innovating new ways to grow and evolve. It's an incredible community. If you're wondering what exactly we mean when we mention our communities, well, we have two separate programs. Our Search Foundations program is for recruiters who want to learn how to sell and deliver retained search solutions consistently. And we have our Search Mastery program. That's for business leaders or owners already at 50% retained or more and looking to scale and grow and structure their search firm. We cap memberships to these programs to protect the integrity of the community. If you want access, just talk to us. Okay, thanks for listening. We'll be back very soon with another episode of Retrained Search, the podcast.